He raises the bar every year. He
Yeah.
builds the trucks that he builds are second to none,
Yeah.
and I like his style, and we have a lot of the same taste.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's a very similar truck to
Yeah.
what he has or what I think he would build. And
Yeah, it's
so
kind of similar.
yeah, it
Similar
is very
style.
much. There's some differences and things,
Definitely,
but
yeah.
yeah, I mean, his style of truck is very much what I like too. So it's very comparable.
So just who was Don Wood talking about in that clip you heard up top? None other than Vinny Diorio, Roland Transport, who Wood worked with for some time, leased on with an earlier daycab version of the absolutely spectacular rebuilt rig we featured from Wood early this week on Overdrive's Custom Rigs section. The high maintenance 2003 Peterbilt 379 started its life as a Schneider lease purchase truck, Wisconsin native Wood said. When he purchased it in 2010, he removed the original stand-up sleeper to give it a custom daycab treatment.
Well, I was working for actually for Roland Transport at that time.
Oh, okay.
And so I was doing all his local stuff.
Yeah, okay.
And I was over the road for him for a few years, and I had my daughters were young then, and so then they were kind of starting to get a little older where they wanted to do stuff and wanted me home and whatnot. And so I talked to Vinny, and I'm like, I don't really want to leave, but I don't want to do over the road right now. I said it's just kind of tough with family and stuff. So he offered me a local job, and that was awesome. So we went into that, and that's why we built the truck. And one of his other guys actually bought my other truck, so it stayed with Roland for quite a while. And then we built this as a day cab, and I worked it for with him for a couple of years that way. And then when I put the sleeper back on, then I went on my own again.
I'm Todd Dills, and in this edition of the Overdrive Radio podcast, we're going to continue on from that point in Wood's career, because the owner-operator would be a one-truck owner-op for just another year or so before expansion began to what his DSD transport business is today. A 30-plus unit fleet with more than a dozen rigs owned, likewise owner-operators leased on, and doing exceptionally well. How did he do it? Stay tuned for that. Likewise, a report from SuperRigs with our intrepid news editor and custom rig specialist Matt Cole, who's been at the show since yesterday. It's ongoing through Saturday this weekend. You can catch a bevy of photos he managed to get posted with a brief first day report from Hampshire, Illinois, this year's show's site via overdriveonline.com. Just click on that beautiful cab over you'll see there. About which, well, before we dive into things with Matt, here's a quick word from Overdrive Radio's sponsors.
Synchrony Car Care is a robust program built for your business and your customers. We offer drivers a way to pay for the services and parts they need today, but there's so much more to Synchrony Car Care. We treat your customers as an extension of your brand, and we don't take it lightly. We're committed to a simple application and fair terms. Let us help drive traffic and drive success for your business.
First Guard provides commercial truck insurance to leased owner-operators done right, as we've done for more than 80 years. We provide physical damage and non-trucking. Many companies make you pay up to 6 months of insurance premiums up front, but not First Guard. We bill monthly, so you get quality insurance without needing to pay a lot of cash up front. Go to firstguard.com. That's 1stguard.com. First Guard. We speak trucker. Let's talk.
Well, Matt, so you're up in West Chicago there at the SuperRigs show this week. Kind of set the scene for me. Did the show officially begin yesterday, or was it just kind of a setup day?
It officially began yesterday. The judges were bringing trucks through the judging line yesterday. So and that's ongoing today, and I think in the morning too on Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah, they told me there were around 60 trucks registered when I showed up around lunchtime yesterday, and there was more continuing to file in. So pretty good turnout.
And this show is pretty well known. I know we've talked about it before, kind of in the context of the SuperRigs calendar that Shell Rotella ends up producing each year from this show. Was there a SuperRigs calendar last year? I guess there was.
But yeah, they made it like a kind of a look back at some of the best from history of the calendar. They just made it kind of a throwback to some of the standouts through the years, and then the 2022 calendar will go back to the results from this show.
Right. They do a stellar job on that calendar. I know, and it's got a big it's a big draw. I know among a lot of truck owners out there. So this is kind of the show where that calendar sort of springs forth from. What are you noticing? Anything at all about the kind of the tenor of the folks there? I think Shell last year, SuperRigs I think they did a virtual event just like we've been doing as well with Pride and Polish. Is everybody excited to be back in person?
Yeah, it seems like everybody's excited to be back out. Everybody's there were several groups of guys just sitting around, shooting the bull yesterday. I think everybody was just glad to be back in public and, with fellow custom truck enthusiasts.
Right.
It's a good atmosphere.
Right. And, it's, we're talking to, for the podcast today, in addition to you, we've got Don Wood, Denmark, Wisconsin. I know that's not too far away from there in Hampshire, Illinois, where you guys are. He's owns a DSD Transport and has put together a truck called I think he's calling it high maintenance, but anyways, 2003 379. I did a story on him after I saw him at Walcott. Have you seen him there by chance?
I have not.
Okay.
I'm not sure if he's here or not. Okay. I could have missed his truck yesterday, or he might be showing up today. But
you wouldn't have missed it. Yeah,
he might be. He still could be showing up today, so we'll see. I'll be on the lookout for it.
Yeah, and one of the things that we're kind of talking about that we talked about at Walcott that we'll hear here in the podcast is just kind of his story of growth, basically over the past 10 years or so. He was one truck, his parents were reefer haulers, and he went and got his authority, I think, really early in the century here. I think 2000, 2001, something like that. Maybe even a little bit before that. He, I think around about 2010, he started to get some opportunities with some customers, and and ended up just growing with them over the course of the next 10 or so years to now, and he's got up to about managing. I mean, 30 trucks running under his authority. I think the majority of those are owner operated, and they end up owning, I think, more than a dozen. But it's that kind of the sort of the growing pains and the ways that the points at which owners begin to bring on extra staff and establish a headquarters and things of this nature. I think what he's looking for now is he doesn't have a full-time mechanic, because he's still a full-time mechanic, but we'll hear a little bit more of that. But I noticed that you had you had quite a few pictures in the report from yesterday at SuperRigs of a company's trucks. It was a company called Equipment Express. Tell me a little bit about them. They looks like they've got several trucks in the show there.
Yeah, they've got 4 trucks in the show. They're all 2000s to 2010, somewhere in that range. Peterbilt. They're a heavy haul company out of Caldwell, Texas. They do a lot of pipeline, a little bit of some oil field stuff. And they're looking to kind of expand their horizons a little bit. And part of that was earlier this month, they picked up a Faymanville trailer. That's a company out of Europe that it's a 13 axle heavy haul trailer. It's extendable, and all 13 axles are actually steerable. So when he turns the wheel in the cab, the trailer goes with it. So that's pretty cool.
A feat of engineering for sure.
That's right.
Yeah, those trailers are. I mean, how long is it unextended? I guess because they've got it out there at the show and they're showing it.
Yeah, I can't remember what exactly he told me. I think it's in the 70, 76, 78 foot range,
okay.
Unextended. And like I said, it's got 13 axles right now, and he can control which ones are on the ground and which ones aren't at any given time. And they've got another 3 or 4 axle extension they can add onto the back of that trailer to make it, I think 16 or 18, something like that.
Right, but the sort of platform, doesn't it also kind of expand out? I'm
Yeah.
trying to, yeah.
Yeah. The just the unit he's got there, it expands out even further. And he told me they can probably put around 275,000 pounds on it. They're looking to they're doing a little bit of windmill stuff. Being able to have something that long, they'll be able to get into that niche pretty easily.
Is Equipment Express, is the owner on hand? Is the owner still an owner operator, or are the folks showing here all leased on, or company drivers with the outfit?
Everybody I talked to yesterday were company drivers. The owner
Okay.
is around. He was actually in Chicago yesterday looking at a new truck or another truck to possibly take back to Texas this weekend.
I
But
got
he's around. He's pretty well known in the custom truck circle, though.
How big is that company? Do you know? How big is
They've got
Equipment
around
Express?
15 trucks.
Okay.
I think Matt Brune, the driver that brought the Peterbilt trailer, he told me they've got 9 or 10 drivers right now. And kind of the nature of their work, the drivers tend to come and go a little bit. But
Okay.
this is actually the second time I've spoken with Matt Brune. He was at SuperRigs back in 2018 up in Racine, Virginia. He had a different truck there that year, but
Gotcha.
yeah, it was good to catch up with him.
Get over to overdriveonline.com and search Matt Brune. That's Brune. To catch a story Matt Cole penned about the 1999 Peterbilt 379 that Brune drove for Equipment Express at the time. It's a 305-inch wheelbase blue and white beauty with suicide doors and 389 style headlights. An immaculately detailed Cat 3406E motor too. I asked Cole then about just what he was hearing from owners there about business conditions and expectations. Any thoughts, worries, fears, hopes?
Everybody I talked to yesterday was pretty optimistic, about the near future. Business is going well right now, and everybody seemed to think it was going to continue going that way.
Yeah.
The economy's looking good right now, so
Yep.
everybody's pretty excited about how things are looking.
Any particular trucks that pretty exceptional there that stand out to you?
Well, as usual, the Snows, Daniel and Phyllis, they're out here. They're always good to stop by and have a chat with. And Todd, I know you talked a couple of weeks ago when you were at Walcott with Rob Hallahan. I saw him over there cleaning his rig yesterday. I didn't get a chance to stop by and talk to him, but he's that green and orange rig's very impressive to walk by. That's for sure. So
yeah. He's in a couple of our Pride and Polish categories as well, finalists there, and we're of course going to be announcing the winners of that on Thursday. So everybody, be sure to tune into that Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern. Be kind of a live premiere of an award show. So absolutely,
and there's a few cab overs out there for the cab over fans. I spoke yesterday with J.R. Slugger. He's out of Britt, Iowa. His company, he's the owner of Lifetime Nut Covers, but they do some trucking work too. And they own all their equipment's older. That particular truck was a 1985 K100, and it's in pristine condition. So if you happen to stop by, check that one out for sure.
Yeah, they've obviously put a ton of work into that. It looks brand new, basically. That's a great picture of it at Matt's piece at overdriveonline.com that you can find there for sure. I think it might be even the featured image of that story, right?
I believe it is. Yep.
Yeah. So you'll see.
He
it.
said that's the only cab over they've got in their fleet, and first time he's rebuilt a cab over himself, and he said it's probably going to be the only one. It was a fun project, but it's a lot more involved than the conventionals. So
really, what is this? The function of not being able to find the parts? Is it?
It was part of that, and just difficulty getting to different parts of the truck. Not everything you gotta take the cab off or whatever to get to different areas. So it's just kind of easier to work on a conventional.
How does it typically go for you that shows. I mean, I know how I end up covering these things, and it's kind of an exhausting affair a lot of the time, and you end up working really long days and such. What are your plans for the next day or two here?
I'll be walking around today. I'll have my camera equipment and stuff. I'll be walking around talking to anybody that's available. I try not to bug guys if they're in the middle of polishing, but just whoever wants to talk about their truck, I'll be trying to do videos with them. And then tonight at 8 o'clock, they're doing the light show. So I may leave for a little bit, grab some dinner, and come back and get some pictures of some lit up trucks. That'll be pretty cool. And then same thing yesterday, or I mean, same thing tomorrow. The winners announcement ceremony is at 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, and I'll be here to cover that, and then fly back home later in the evening. The weather's great today and tomorrow. The high temperatures are only in the mid 70s, so kind of looking forward to not not being in 80s and 90s like back home.
Like me, Matt lives in the South, and he's even farther south than I am. He's down in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and I'm in Nashville, and man, I think it was 100 something yesterday here.
Yeah, the heat index has been pushing 110 down in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah.
Humidity's been awful.
Yeah, lots of sweat. So yeah, getting up that Midwest air is great. It was the same for me at Walcott, so that was awesome. Good break for us. And anyway, I hope everybody out there cutting across the southern half of the nation and/or portions out west where it's like blazing hot. I hope you're staying cool. And I know Matt is there. Thanks, Matt, for everything here.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on, Todd.
You can find more from Matt Cole daily at overdriveonline.com. He covers news as well as business and other topics in more depth. And plenty of those fine custom rigs, of course. Now, switching gears back to the small fleet owner we heard a little bit about at the top and in conversation with Matt there, too. That's Don Wood of DSD Transport. Wood's business was just a single truck as of a decade ago. Today, here's his story of how a 30-plus truck open deck fleet was born through the son of a couple of reefer haulers.
We didn't start adding any trucks until like maybe 2012, somewhere in there. Okay. Right around 2012. I never wanted to have more than one truck. It wasn't my intention, but it worked out where I had a work opportunity, and a buddy of mine that I've known almost my whole life was halfway in the job market, and I'm like, well, hey, I'll buy a truck. And it kind of was a joke, and then he's like, well, were you serious about that? And so then I bought a truck, and he started driving it, and then you get a little more work and you get busy, and you're like, well, okay, I'll look for another guy. And and it just kind of word of mouth kept growing and growing and growing. And I mean, it's not any big business by any means or what, but it's a nice comfortable size, and it's it works out well for us. Not too big, but big enough where it can run itself for a little while, and I can come and do stuff like this.
Are you sort of are you out of the truck at this point, managing at home?
50-50. I work in the office. I don't want to say the majority of the time, but enough of the time. But I love to drive. I would drive every day if I could. So I have a truck that when I go to work, I drive that one, and I do a lot of local loading and unloading right now. We have another day cab we have, and I've got a guy that full time, that's all he does is local loads, and then goes and loads and delivers for my over the road guys so we can drop and hook and stuff. Gotcha. But then he'll get too busy, and I'll jump in the truck and go and help out. Or I like to do like what Gary does. I do oversized and with our low boys and stuff, and I like the challenge. I did the flatbed and for a long time, and step deck and whatnot, and not that it's boring or whatever, but I like the extra challenge of bigger and longer, wider, all that stuff. So we do have some stuff like that we do, and then I'll get in the truck for the week or whatever and go do something pretty big like that. But for the most part, I'm local, where I'm near the office if something happens or what, because we do a lot of transloading and stuff like that at our yard too. So I've got to be there for running our crane and our forklifts.
Wonderful to see the success Wood and his DSD company is having. Asked him just where the growth began after those years leased to Roland Transport working with Vinny Diorio there. Here's what he said.
I grew up in trucking. My parents have had a business forever,
Yep.
and so all since I was a little boy, I've always loved trucks and wanted to be in the industry and whatnot. And so my dad, they hauled reefer, hauling food grade stuff.
Yep.
And when I got out of high school, I went to work for him and started driving one of his trucks, and it was great. I liked it, but I didn't really care for the food service places we would go. I don't know, the attitudes and the way you got treated. I didn't really care for that. So another friend of mine had a flatbed company, and I went to work for him, and I loved it. Something different every day, and everybody's always happy. You move along well, and so I got into that part of it that way from him. And like I said, I always wanted to have my own truck because the way I could build it how I wanted it, and keep it the way I wanted it. So that was always a goal, but I never expected or planned to have more than one truck. It just kind of happened.
I mean, what was it when you saw that opportunity to buy another one? What were you responding to? Was it a carrier that needed? Was it a customer?
Direct customers.
Yeah,
I don't haul much broker freight at all.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, is you work hard to get a customer. But then in order to keep them, you have to basically do what they need.
Yeah.
And so when they grow, you have to grow.
Yeah.
And if you don't, well, then somebody else does. And then you're on the outs looking in, and so I don't want that. So we had a customer that was growing and asking for more from us, and we just couldn't keep up, and so it just progressively got bigger, and then we added owner operators and things, trying to offset to do it that way, and it just kind of kept growing and growing, and now with our owner operators and everything, we have 19.
Oh wow.
So it's
you've got 12, 14 trucks.
We own 14.
You also have got the
we've
owner
got
operators.
quite a few owner operators too. So
That's nice.
it's a balance, and it's a good good relationship, because obviously they have a good incentive to work, and they do a great job to keep the freight that we have as well. So we've got a really good team. All of our drivers and owner operators, they all work well together, and our customers don't have issues with them. So it's a good team that we have. A lot of veterans. We don't have any younger guys or what. For it's just how it works out, and so you don't have to hold their hand. You know what I mean? I just send them the information of pickup and delivery, and they let me know when they're done. And after that, I don't have to get involved and kind of coach them. So it makes it a lot easier for me to do more with less people. We have 2 full-time people in the office, and then plus myself, but I don't count myself because I don't know what I'm going to be doing from day to day.
Right.
So
that's a lot of the logistics, load management and stuff.
Right.
For
that's
people. It's a lot.
right, and that's where it helps with experienced people like that, or I don't know what you would say, like self-motivated people, to where you don't have to push them along, or you don't have to explain every step. You just tell them the basics, and then they take care of the rest. And so it's a lot put on them, but they're all trustworthy guys and girls to do it. And so it's a good team. I'm very happy with the people we have working with us.
When did you make that decision where you start thinking about actually hiring people other than the drivers that you're bringing on?
That was a very hard situation, because I've never worked at a large company or anything like that to know, like, have a fleet manager or anything like that. So I did it myself for a long time, and it started getting to be where it was just too much. You couldn't keep up, and you were just overwhelmed all day every day, because you were trying to do paperwork or load a truck or whatever, and you were constantly on the phone. And I'm pretty mobile, so I carry a tablet for like emailing and such back and forth, and it's just, you start getting those triggers where, look, this isn't working, or this isn't going to last long at this, like this won't work. So I hired a secondary dispatcher, and he came from one of my customers, actually. And so he had a logistics background, just not on the trucking side. So, and it worked well.
How many trucks were you trying to manage at that point when you hired him?
I think at that point, I think we had 11 or 12.
Yeah. Okay.
And it was, for the most part, it would click along well, but it was we struggled if we had to find a backhaul, because that takes a lot of time. We do a lot of job site projects where I've got some dedicated stuff where we wear a highway out back and forth all week long, but majority of our stuff is job sites where we'll go to a job site for a month or 6 weeks, whatever, and then we'll move to a new job site, so it's, you can kind of get general areas and stuff, but at the same time, say you get a customer in Little Rock, Arkansas, but you're now going to Dallas. Well, now you got to get your truck from Dallas to Little Rock, and it's close enough where you could deadhead, but there's decent money to be made to grab something. So then you're looking for something. Well, if you're doing that for 1 or 2 trucks, that's okay. But as it snowballs, then all of a sudden it's like, man, this is taking a lot more time. And so we did that. And my wife works out full time. She's a branch manager at a bank.
Okay.
And but she is, being a bank background, she's very money oriented and stuff. So she likes to take care of all that kind of stuff. Right. So like all of our accounting, payroll, tax prep, all that stuff. I don't want anything to do with any of that. I don't like paperwork at all. Like I'll get dirty, and I'll fix trucks, I'll crawl under, I'll load, whatever, but I don't want to do paperwork.
So you got a perfect partner.
Yeah,
there,
so
right?
she loves it,
Part of that,
but then it got to the point where she couldn't keep up too, and so we hired a family friend that we've known for quite a while, trustworthy, and she came in the office. I think it's been 3 years now. Okay. And so she does like our payroll, our accounting and invoicing, accounts receivable, stuff like that. Right. And helps lighten the load that way. And so that's great. It's progressing. Now I'm at the point where I want to find a mechanic. I have a full-time mechanic.
Yeah, you don't have one now.
I don't. I do everything.
Yeah, you're the man. Okay.
Most of our stuff is all pretty new to where it's just preventative maintenance and lights and tires, silly stuff like that. Right. But it's still a lot because with our tractors, and then we have 32 trailers. It just seems like it works out where you get a weekend that's manageable, but then the next weekend is like, oh man, it's gonna be a long weekend. And so it'd just be nice to be able to kind of, I don't want to say milk it out, but manage it out where it's all something every day, and it would be better for the maintenance and everything. So that's our next step, is we're gonna have to get a mechanic.
For anyone here similarly situated, how have you managed growth and finding that support staff? Don Wood clearly is thinking a lot about these days. With up to 30 rigs, DSD is responsible for keeping loaded. Speaking of DSD, there's always a story behind the name, right? Here's Woods.
My name Don, and my mom is Sherry, and my dad is David. So when I turned 18 and I wanted to start driving, they they had their company set up and they did over the road stuff, and their insurance company did not want to add me onto their policy because I was not old enough to travel interstate, and that's what they were licensed, and that's what their main business was. So they were, I don't know if they were worried that I was going to do it regardless or what, but they wouldn't insure me. So we started this company so that I could drive, and so, that was in 2001. We went and opened this company, and it was just supposed to be for me. Yep. And so we put the 3 letters of our first names together, because I did the work and bought the truck, and they helped me with the freight and, management, I guess you would say. And so we put that in, and I just never had a reason to go.
A big thanks to Don Wood for his time. And be sure to check out the video we put together with plenty of views on his absolutely magnificent 03 Pete 2021 custom Mack flatbed with a quick draw Conestoga setup. You won't regret it. That's overdriveonline.com/custom-rigs. And before we check out, keep in mind those Overdrive's Pride and Polish Awards will be doling out in a live session this coming Thursday, August 5, 2021, right at 5 p.m. Eastern Time via overdriveonline.com, as well as our YouTube channel. I hope to see you there. Overdrive Radio is a production of Overdrive, the voice of the American trucker. It's edited and produced by myself, Todd Dills, with no small amount of support from Overdrive Extra contributor and Muller Trucking hauler Paul Marhover, social media coordinator Holly Young, news editor Matt Cole, who you heard in this episode, and Executive Editor, Alex Lucky. Until next time, keep it pro out there. Enjoy the shows, everybody.